So after so many leaks and rumors, Google finally announced the Pixel 9a, the successor of the Pixel 8a, which did a pretty good job, so let's talk about it. So the Pixel 9a is similar to the Pixel 9 series, but here's the catch. There is no camera bump. Like literally this phone will stay flat on top of a desk. And yes, this phone is thicker than its predecessor, but it's within a reason and a good cause. While this phone is thicker than before, it actually has a bigger battery, which I'm gonna talk about it in the video. It's now bigger at 6.3 inches versus 6.1, which was the Pixel 8a. And the material hasn't changed much. We get aluminum frame like before and the package is still plastic, but it doesn't look cheap to be honest. There are a few smartphones which are cheaper than the Pixel 9a, but they still have glass backs. And I'm not gonna make a fuss about it, it's a $500 phone after all. And it comes in 4 colors. You could get it in iris, peony, porcelain and obsidian. Pixelated names. Now on the front, like I said, we got a 6.3 inches AMOLED display, which is thick. I mean, thick. And I think that Google could reduce the thickness of the display, but they just wanted to drop the cost to make some profit. Now the thing is that while this phone's display is looking chunky, it's a pretty good one. It's AMOLED and it's 120Hz, which is variable and goes down to 60Hz, not 1, but it saves a little battery for you. And now the display brightness goes up to 1800 nits in HDR and 2700 nits outdoors, and this is phenomenal compared to the Pixel 8a, which only give you 1400 in HDR and 2000 nits outdoors. Companies usually lie about the brightness numbers, and it's pretty common among all the brands, but this is pretty decent. I mean, considering the fact that this phone is a mid-range, it gives you a pretty decent option. And it's definitely acceptable because, it's giving you a similar experience to the Pixel 9. As for the cameras, well, you're getting what you expect from a Pixel phone, no matter if it's a flagship or it's a mid-range. They're always one of a kind, especially for the color tones and the contrasty look that the photos come out with. And matter of fact, all of these good things that I said about the Pixel's camera are also included in the Pixel 9a, and you're gonna get one of the best experience in terms of photos, and man, look at the images. Now as for the camera specs, well, we're getting a downgrade, but you're not gonna notice it though because the processor is newer and better. We got 2 cameras in the back. The main camera is 48 megapixels instead of 64, but the thing is that this main sensor is bigger now, so it captures more light and gives you a better image. And the ultra wide is the same as before at 13 megapixels and takes good photos. Now this change of the size of the main sensor isn't gonna affect the video quality. The video quality on this phone isn't that great. It's noisy, the colors are washed out, and the experience you're gonna get in terms of videos is by far better on the Pixel 9. So if your main concern of buying this phone is videos, just forget about the existence of the Pixel 9a. But like I said, this phone is a mid-range and you shouldn't really expect any outstanding performance in videos, but the photos you take on this phone is pretty good and you definitely can't trust them. Now let me get to the point that this phone really stands out, the battery. This phone got a 5000 mAh battery, which is the biggest among all the Pixel series. Even the Pixel 9 Pro XL has a smaller battery. Google said that you could get up to 30 hours of battery life on this phone, and this is outstanding. And on the extreme battery saving mode, you could get up to 100 hours, which is huge. I know and you know that we're not gonna hit 30 hours on this phone, but it gives you a close 27 hours of battery life. It's 4 more hours than the Pixel 9 and over 9 hours better than the Pixel 8a. It's a huge upgrade. It's kind of the same chemistry that Apple is doing with the iPhone 16e, which has a better battery than the iPhone 16. Now you should consider that the processor of this phone isn't that powerful, so it consumes less power. And the software isn't that customized, so you're getting a similar experience to the stock Android because it's lightweight. Now the software of this phone is on par with the Google's flagships, thanks to the same processor, and Google promised 7 years of OS support. I'm gonna be 27 when this phone gets its last update. You got some great AI features like Gemini, which is a lighter version because of the lack of the RAM, but it's still way smarter than Siri. All the photo editing AI, like the Add Me feature that lets you to take group shots even without the need of all of you to be in the frame, or the Magic Editor which lets you to do anything to your photos with a simple prompt. And you also got the Pixel Studio, which is something like the Image Playground on iOS, and Call Assist, which makes your calls obviously more clear. Now what you're not gonna have is the Pixel Screenshots app, and it looks like the Windows Recall, which never came out. A pretty decent feature, but you're not gonna feel the absence of it. And also you don't have the Call Notes app, which captures all the data from your calls and shows you the transcripts, which is useful to be honest, but it's not of a big deal that much. And the software of this phone is pretty good. I really love the Pixel UI, and I think that this phone could easily handle itself over 4 or 5 years. As for the performance, like I said, that this phone gets the same processor as the Pixel 9 and the 9 Pro. It's a pretty decent processor, but it's not that much powerful. I mean, for regular tasks like scrolling through social media, taking a bunch of photos, going through your gallery, and doing some light stuff, it does a pretty good job. But for more intensive tasks or even gaming, don't even think of buying this processor because it's not quite beefy. It's okay for a mid-range smartphone like the Pixel 9a, but for more expensive smartphones like the Pixel 9 Pro, not much. Let's just hope that the next generation is gonna be better because it's gonna be manufactured by TSMC. So yeah, for gaming, I mean, for games like, I don't know, like Call of Duty Mobile or PUBG Mobile at medium or high, it's gonna be okay, but for more, oh boy, it's gonna stutter. Especially for the fact that it got only 8GB of RAM, so you should consider that. So let's get to the price. You could get this phone and 128GB of storage for like $499, basically $500. And it also got a 256 variant, which is probably a better option for you. And you know, that's because nowadays phones don't have expandable storage and it's really annoying. And other than that, if you're someone who games a lot or takes a lot of photos and videos, sooner or later, your phone's gonna run out of storage. And that's it. I talked about all the things that mattered about this phone. And I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please consider subscribing to us and like the video and tell me your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. This is ByteForge and see you in the next one.